That's not the answer. And there are several reasons why it's not the answer. It's just because we do view clergy a little different than the Jews and the Christians. On top of it, having done some literature study as part of this larger project, when you do the literature study, you see that the model of Christian seminary, and I'm a graduate of 2 Christian seminaries, is still contested. Because Christian seminaries are relatively new in the United States. And so the model of what's the most effective Christian seminary, and so we should be careful not to clone them, no disrespect to them, but they're still debating about emphases in different areas. And the reality is context, context, context. That if we bring Al-Azhar here to Michigan, it's going to be a little bit of a problem because the world in Egypt, having gone there for the past 6 years, my wife and I run a language training program, Arabic training program in Cairo for the past 6 years. It's a very different world from Ann Arbor. Trust me on that one if you've never been there. And so we're not talking about cloning Christian or overseas seminaries. Okay. What happened? Okay. So the other issue is endorsement. Just quickly, because some of us might not know because it's not the area that some of you know, endorsement is a process whereby a faith tradition certifies to the outside world that a person has the attitudes, competencies, and support system to deliver services in public institutions in the name of that faith tradition. Attitudes and competencies we get, right? Attitudes. Everybody who's Christian cannot be a Christian chaplain. Everybody who's Jewish cannot be a Jewish chaplain. Everybody who's Muslim cannot be a Muslim chaplain. They might be a very good Muslim, but if they believe La ilaha illallah is the beginning and the end, they're usually not a good person for an interfaith team, which is what happens in a hospital setting, because they feel that, you know, if you don't believe that Muhammad is the messenger, you're going to hell, and that's the end of the conversation, and this is not the kind of person who needs to work on it. Plus, you need to provide a support system for the people who are in chaplaincy. Okay, so let me just say as an aside and quickly move on. So I think a major task for Muslims in chaplaincy, as I feel in other areas, is infrastructure building. And that means assessing the needs in the area, that is building consensus for actions, collaborating with those who are already doing what needs to be done, developing needing institutions, and evaluating continuously. Okay. All right, so that was agency. Boundary management. There's some boundaries that we need to be attentive to, even in this ad hoc situations. I just chose a couple of boundary management clashes that you might see. One is between the visible and the invisible Muslims. The CAIR pamphlet really deals with the visible Muslims, because CAIR, I was talking with Sister Asma a few minutes, is a very visible national organization, and the CAIR line is the normative Muslim Sunni line that you tend to get. When they put a pamphlet together, they're really talking about normative Islam. The problem is what we call folk Islam on the ground is not like normative Islam. That's in the real world. Ifsam Bagby, another colleague of mine, who's done another number of studies on mosque in America, he's doing one right now, says that most of the people, about 70% of the Muslims in this country, don't go to the mosque. And so therefore they don't fit into that normative mode. And so really, when you read these pamphlets, Morgan makes this point in his book, they're a good starting point for you, but understand that this is normative Islam, and I'm keeping bumping against this computer and making trouble for myself. You understand that this is normative Islam, and somebody give me a hand here. If you understand this is normative Islam, and it's not the Islam of the people, what they do from day to day. Okay, I can find it, yeah. Thank you. So you need to understand that point. The second, so there are Muslims who don't fit into those categories, who don't pray 5 times a day, who don't go to the masjid, or maybe come Ramadan or Eid, just like they're Christmas Christians and Yom Kippur Jews. So we're no different in that particular regard. And Leonard, in her book, The Muslims in America, makes that point. And then the whole difference between what's a religious issue, and there are people who are much more qualified than I am to talk about the difference between religious and clinical issues. The reality for most Muslim leadership, that is, religious leadership, they don't have a clue about clinical issues. Not a clue. I mean, we are in New Haven, we've started an aggressive program of getting Muslim leaders to go into clinical pastoral educational programs for that reason. But most of the people in leadership that I know, and I work with a lot of them since I'm the chair of the board, and so I meet with them, if you start talking about ethics in the hospital setting and bioethics, they would not have a clue. And so that's some internal work that we need to do as Muslims. The final point, cultural competency, Dr. Abu-Ras makes this point, that actually one of the major jobs for the Muslim chaplain right now in New York, she did the study in New York, right now is educating the people in the hospital about Islam, right? I would say both the visible and the invisible Muslims need to educate. But this is a cultural interchange, as I pointed out, that there needs to be educational programs that come from the healthcare systems to the Muslim community about the culture of the healthcare system and how to navigate that culture. And this is above and beyond the chaplaincies, because you want your imams to have some understanding of what needs to be done in terms of navigating the healthcare system. So this is all I want to say about this. We usually close many of our what we say by reading a short chapter of the Quran. I think it'll be okay, even though this is in a state-supported institution. But it gives a bit of our orientation. While us, by the token of time, surely human beings are lost, except those who have faith and do righteous deeds and join together in the mutual teaching of truth and the mutual and of patience and constancy. Thank you for being patient with me while we talk for a few moments. Assalamu alaikum.
Is this your cell phone? Continuing on, and by the way, I also want to say it's such an honor and pleasure in the world of bioethics to have Dr. Howard Brody, Dr. Lynn Weber, and others here with us, such prominence at this conference today. It's just so rich. The next speaker is going to be speaking to us about advocating for Muslim needs to healthcare systems. And it really is an honor for me to introduce this person who has been almost a lifelong partner in much of the work that has happened in the Detroit Dearborn community. Haj Eid Alawan serves as a diversity liaison for the Detroit Medical Center, Harper Hospital, and the Women's Hospital of the Detroit, and the Women's Hospital of the Detroit Medical Center. So basically Harper Hutzel, for those of you who are from this area. He has extensive experience as a patient advocate, spiritual support representative, patient confidant, does much work in interfaith group counseling, ethnic and diversity liaison, and motivational guide for the patient health benefits recovery. He advises the DMC on patient-physician communication skills and improving hospital sensitivity to and the ability to work with people of all faiths, ethnic traditions, and racial backgrounds. I think that is one of Eid's strongest components of his personality, is the ability to just fluidly move through population upon population. Mr. Alawan also serves on the Ethics Committee of Oakwood Hospital in Dearborn, Children's Hospital at the Detroit Medical Center, and the Detroit, and I'm double reading because it's printed twice, forgive me. He serves as the Intra and Interfaith Outreach Officer of the Islamic Center of America, located in Dearborn, Michigan, and is the liaison to Imam Sayyid Hassan Kazwini, who was here earlier today at the Islamic Center of America. Without further ado, Eid Alawan.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. She said everything I was going to say. I've been blessed in the last few years to be able to serve on three ethics committees. And most of my involvement has been advising on Muslim, both Shia and Sunni traditions. As a sushi, I think most of you have not heard what a sushi is, but I want to tell you what a sushi is. Sushi is a Muslim that has a respect for all schools of thought. We are starting this in this country so that we can become the Muslims that I think Allah or God wants us to be. I deal with people that are both of Sunni and Shia tradition. I make sure that they're accommodated in all their needs, whether dietary needs, religious needs, or whatever it may be. One of the problems I do see, Professor Jones was saying, I do also practice being chaplain at the hospital because we don't have a Muslim chaplain. And I also sometimes have to be a chaplain to a Christian family, which I do my best in every way possible to comfort them and ease them with the pain that they are going through. Now, as a Muslim sushi, the promotion, what we're trying to do is to get people to understand we need to come together in all the professions. And unless we do that, the hospitals are not going to understand what Islam is. One of the problems I find within hospitals is some of the Muslims will refer to halal or kosher product, but they will not consider the kosherness to the Muslim that needs the explanation of the kosher that they handle. And what I would like to ask Muslim doctors and professionals that are in the hospital is let's come together and understand what the halal menu should be for hospitals. I'm going through a trial situation right now with DMC, is that they don't understand how important the halal menu is to a Muslim. I think Muslims have to be just as well accommodated to as Jews and Christians. Having a tuna fish sandwich for breakfast or for lunch and dinner is not satisfactory to me. I think that the patient deserves the same consideration that other people within the hospital do. The other thing is to get the hospitals to understand in traditions the fact of our traditions. Now, we have traditions not only in the Muslim traditions, but we have tradition in the ethnic backgrounds. And this is what I do the best at the hospital, is try to train them in that area. Muslims, non-Muslims need to know at the time of death which direction is Mecca. And this is I think the University of Michigan here is doing it because they have a designation on the wall showing the Kaaba, and that's the direction in which a person is to be oriented towards the end of their life. But I have to mention one of the big things right now is that there's a pride that we have in our community, Professor Jones, is that we are starting a chaplaincy program here, and it's by CIOM, the Council of Islamic Organizations of Michigan. It's going to be done at ETS, the Economical, I'll get it out, Ethical Seminary of the City of Detroit. And Imam El Turk, would you stand up, please? He is the imam that designed the chaplaincy program and will be conducting the program at ETS beginning in September. So we need to promote this. We have the opportunity. He's developed a program that is going to be in conjunction with the ETS program here in Detroit. It's a 2-year program. So if you have youth in your community, or not youth, but people in general, that want to take these classes to become a chaplain, which is, believe me, highly needed. I am not a chaplain, although I serve as a chaplain, as a Muslim chaplain throughout the 3 hospitals I deal with. We need a real chaplain. The best thing I can say is that professionals, we need to come together. We need Muslims to come together and form at hospitals so that we can give the best care to the patients, as well as understanding to the families that come in. That's one of the most difficult things right now, is sometimes that the professional Muslims are on different pages on how to understand a tradition, religious tradition, and an ethnic tradition. Thank you very much for the opportunity, folks.